Alright, you guys. Man, okay, never mind my hair. Other than the image consulting videos, it's probably always going to look like this because when I take a shower, like I just did, I don't put any product in my hair. I don't style it. I don't do anything to it. I actually have not used product in probably the last like 6 months because I have like some scalp kind of issues, and I found that sometimes using the product would irritate that. So I've been not doing that, and I've been doing a whole other different routine to try to help that. But anyways, it's not the point here. Quickly in this video, I'm going to explain why we're going to talk about our mindset, why we're going to talk about what the most important relationship in your life is, and why care? Why does anybody care? Well, one, some people don't care, or some people are so stuck in their ways that they don't think that they can make a difference. Especially if you're older, it's going to be much harder. It's not going to be impossible, but it's going to be harder for somebody who's 55 to make these changes than somebody who's 22. It's just because there's a lot more years of crap that has been fed to you, a lot more years of you believing the same crap. That's going to make it a lot harder to change 35, 50 years of thinking the same way versus 10 years of thinking the same way, or 12 years, or whatever. Now, we're not going to get religious here. This is crooked. So, we're not going to get, I'm not really sure how to adjust it. Whatever. Okay. We're not going to get religious talking about these things, okay? We're not. There's no need to. If you want to add religion into it yourself, be my guest. But I'm not going to sit here and add religion into it. It has nothing to do with religion, okay? Believe what you want to believe. Doesn't bother me. And again, we will get into that later on, okay? Again, not religious, but we're going to discuss why there's a massive problem when it does come to religion, because I am Christian, okay? But you will never see me pushing that onto somebody else. You won't hear me saying, my life is fantastic because of God, or you won't hear me share testimony to other people. I'm not, no, okay? And those of you who are overly religious, listen to me now. It's okay that other people are not like that. They don't have to be like that. It does not affect you and your relationship with God or Buddha or Allah or whoever else it is. It has nothing to do with you, what somebody else wishes to believe or not to believe, okay? So, why talk about this? Well, it's very important. And you might, well, why does it matter? Well, I guess the majority of our life, honestly, is lived inside of our mind. Our perception of reality is based off what's up here. Because how is it that you can have people that are kind of going through the same experiences, but they have two totally different experiences? And that's because they have different perspectives, a different perception on their reality. They have different things that they've gone through in life previously that help shape what they're going through right now. That is something that a lot of people don't understand. Now, if you have an open mind, it's going to be much easier for you. If you have a closed mind, or a very, this is who we are, we're born this way and we can't change it, you're going to have a very tough time, okay? Again, it's not impossible, but you're going to have a hard time. And now, why should anybody care? Oh, don't you want to be happy? Don't you want to have a good life? A life that you enjoy? A life that you are proud of and are happy to be living? Who wants to wake up every day and not enjoy the life that they're living? What would be the point? There would be no point in living if you woke up every day dreading the life that you're about to live. It doesn't make any sense. But in order to be happy, that's all up here. Nothing on the outside can make that change for you, because it's an internal thing. That's why I say the most important relationship you will ever have during your life here on earth is the relationship that you have with yourself. Now, whether you believe or don't believe that we are technically two different or one and the same kind of thing, there's a physical part of us, and then there is that non-physical, that spiritual, or whatever you want to call it, our higher self, our spiritual being, whatever you want to call it. There's two, but they are one and the same, okay? We can't rely on anybody else to ensure that we live a happy life or that we do the things that we want to do. Only person that is responsible for that and can actually make that happen is you. Because, you know, some of you may be wondering, well, how is it that there are some people on earth that have millions of dollars or billions of dollars and they're not happy? Because that has nothing to do with the happiness. How come there are some people who are poor, who are living in third world countries, but they're having the time of their life? It doesn't discriminate, okay? It's all you and your perception, your experiences, your thought processes, your mindset that determines and decides if you're going to be happy or if you're not going to be happy. Nobody else can make you feel that way. It is a choice to let those emotions get the best of you. That is a decision that you make, whether you're aware of it or not. That's usually the problem. Most people are not aware. They are subconsciously making those decisions, or since it's a decision they've always made since they were younger, or that got introduced to them at a young age, they think, oh, there's nothing I can do about it. That's just how I was raised. That's just part of who I am. That's not true. You being unhappy, you being miserable, you being negative, you only seeing the bad side of things is your own fault. Like, nobody can make you do something. Only you have the power to do that. That's why you should care. That's why it's important. And once you realize that you do have the power to make better situations in your life, it becomes easier to then make those better situations in your life. How many of you have a friend who's nothing but negative? And when you get around that friend, it kind of makes you negative too. Even though you could have been in a better mindset prior to being around that person. Well, that's because you're allowing that influence to influence you. You are allowing yourself to then decide to start doing what she's doing. I don't know if you guys have ever heard, like, if you surround yourself with negative people, like let's say you surround yourself with 4 negative people, guess what? You will eventually become the 5th negative person. If you surround yourself with 4 positive people, you will eventually become the 5th positive person. That's very true. You have to be careful who you spend your time with. You have to be careful what you listen to, what you see, what you say out loud, what you hear from other people. Like, we're not just talking movies and music. I'm talking about the conversations that you have with other people. It's very powerful when you're constantly saying these things out loud, because what you put out is what you're going to get back. If you're constantly saying, oh, I don't feel good. Oh, I never feel good. Oh, I'm always sick. Well, guess what? You're never going to feel good. You can't feel good while constantly saying you don't feel good. That's two, they can't coexist, okay? It's one or the other. You can't get to good health from being in a negative emotion about your health. You can't. They're 2 completely different things. Now, how do we begin changing that? Well, awareness is like the first step. You have to be aware that you're even doing it. Because how can you change something when you're not aware of what you're doing? You can't. Like, there's you have to have that awareness. Well, how do you become more aware? Well, there's many different ways to become more aware. Being mindful of the things that you're saying, being mindful of the thoughts that you're thinking, paying attention to what others are telling you, it will become a little easier to notice those things. Becoming more mindful, again, there's many ways to do that. One that helps me a lot is meditation, and this thing that they like to call like grounding, I think is like the term. A lot of like monks and stuff use it. But the book that I read, Mindfulness by Teresa Watts, if you want, that is a good place to start. But she talks about more so just being aware of kind of like your surroundings and stuff first, because eventually that will translate into other areas of life. Like being aware of the material that you're sitting on right now. Being aware of, are your feet touching the floor? Are they not touching the floor? Do they hurt? Is one turned out and the other's straight? Are you crossing your legs? Are you fidgeting with your fingers? Are you constantly? Like, just being more aware of the present moment helps you to then be more aware of other things throughout the day. Keeping a journal or thinking back things that happened throughout the day, especially if you do that for multiple days or weeks, because then you'll start to notice a pattern. I struggle with negativity. We're gonna get into that, because I actually do my best to not say that out loud, that that's something that I struggle with, or that that's something that I've always struggled with. I do my best to actually not say those things out loud, because I don't want that to be my reality anymore. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to explain to you guys that yes, I do struggle with being a negative person. I don't know where it started in my life. I don't know what started it. I don't know where it came from. And it's something that has been an issue for me for a very long time. Almost probably as long as I can remember. I was just a negative child, a negative person. I always saw the bad in the situations, not the good. I always worried about bad things happening. Like I was afraid to die. I was afraid of getting kidnapped. I was afraid of like all these things that somebody who is like 10 years old should not be afraid of. Like I should not be worrying about things that have not even occurred in my life, okay? That is what I struggle with to this present day, especially with my anxiety. It's very difficult sometimes when I'm in that position, when I'm in that state of mind. It's difficult to get out of that. However, this point that I'm at now is much better than the point that I was at 10 years ago, 5 years ago. It's constantly improving. But I'm letting you know now, it's not going to happen overnight. It might not happen in 6 months or a year or 10. It might not ever 100% go away. But if you can get it 90% better, 99% better, your life is going to be so much better. But you have to be aware that that's what's happening, and then interrupt it and change it. Interrupt it and change it over and over and over and over again. There's not a day that goes by that I don't work on this constantly. 95% of it's probably all in my brain, or my thoughts, soul, whatever you want to call that part of us that thinks internally, okay? It's something that I deal with on a daily basis, and that I'm probably going to be dealing with for the rest of my life, and that's fine. I am fine with that, as long as I continue to adapt, continue to evolve, continue to adjust, and not be too hard on myself when I do kind of slip back a little bit. Because for most of us, it's going to happen here and there, especially when things happen in life that are unfortunate, that we can't control. The only part of any kind of situation that we can control is how we think about it and how we feel about it. We can't change anything else. We can't change what the outcome has already, whatever's already happened. We can't change that. So why sit there and dwell on the fact that you wish it would have been different? That does nothing but bring out negativity about the situation. There's nothing you can do. So why torture yourself over and over and over again? People that have gone through terrible things, that have let that destroy their lives. Why? You are still living. You are still alive. You can still make your life a happy one, a pleasant one. But not if you can't get out of that. But again, you have to be willing to put in that work. If you're not willing to put in that work, if you can't even see that work can be done, that's a problem. And a lot of you may realize it sooner, which is great. Some of you may realize it a lot later, and then realize that you wasted 25 years of your life, that you could have been living your best life if you would have made that change sooner. And you're going to be kicking yourself in the freaking shin until your day has come. But you shouldn't be kicking yourself in the shin. You should move on and start fresh from that day on. But understand that those of you who are reluctant to this kind of thing, at some point in your life, you're going to realize it. It may or may not be too late. So we're gonna start this next video explaining a bit about my childhood first and how I got out of that mindset to the mindset that I'm in right now. There's multiple points of change, but there were a few, probably two, very drastic ones that brought out that change in me. But there was a lot of little ones too. But we will discuss those two very big ones and a few smaller ones that kind of intertwine with those. But we're going to start with the childhood stuff first before we get into the relationship stuff, because that's not a fun thing to talk about. We're going to talk about it, and I'm fine talking about it, but it's not fun to talk about, you know. It was not a good time in my life, you know. But there's no way I would have made it to where I am at right now without having gone through all of that. It sucked, okay? It really sucked. But again, there's nothing I can do about what happened then. I can only worry about what is happening now. So, thank you for watching this video. And again, I will see you in the next one.